Jason here, Clear Creek Farm. How we doing today? Today, I want to touch on why I think that Neogen is going to change our industry. Now that ABGA has announced that there will be going over to Neogen to do our testing. First things off, I want to say I'm not representing neither of these places. I'm talking with you guys as a breeder and as somebody that has been trying to get something like this started in the industry for years. I started looking back about 5 years ago because I noticed that the DNA testing that UC Davis was doing was not giving us nothing for the money we were paying. So I started looking into Neogen, which most all the other major livestock associations use. The reason why they use them is because of what they can give you. With UC Davis, basically, we were sending in a DNA sample either through ABGA or straight to UC Davis, which if you're looking for parentage, it's a great thing. But if you're not looking for parentage and you want to get more information out of that DNA test, they're not going to be able to do that. For one, they actually screwed up quite a few DNA tests. And these weren't DNA tests that were on one farm that producer took 5 or 6 DNA tests at one time and sent them in. From what I was told, I never personally had this problem. But from what I was told is that they got mixed up at UC Davis. So for producers, we had to, or these people that had these problems, had to resubmit DNA tests at a later date, even though there was DNA test already on file. And if you're dealing with an animal that is deceased, that has passed away during kidding, after breeding season, this was a hard thing to do. The thing with Neogen, we are not going to get a lot of answers out of what we're going to do right from the get-go. And that's going to be hard for a lot of people to grasp. Why are we paying this kind of money if we're not getting a lot out of it? But down the road, within probably 3 to 5 years, we will be actually start getting information or EPDs. And if you're not for sure what EPDs are, expected prodigy differences. So basically, by testing each animal, you will be able to make basically it'll be an educated guess. If you cross one animal with another animal, you're going to get this. And with having EPDs, you'll actually be able to do that way better on a way more consistent basis and knowing what that prodigy is going to actually produce. And on top of that, we will be actually able to look at these EPDs and say, hey, we got a doe over here that don't produce enough milk, but the buck over here, his prodigy actually produces a lot of milk. We're going to have to, as an association, make some decisions on what EPDs we're going to look at. Which that is something that the association will have to decide on. What are we looking at for our industry? Are we looking at meat production, how fast they gain weight, how much cover they get, how easy they kid? These are all things that we'll have to look at. And the things with the EPDs is you can have a buck hit the ground today. We can pull a DNA test from them, and they use basically a plug system where you basically punch a plug of tissue out of their ear, and then you could send it into them. And within whatever time period it is taking them to process that DNA and these EPDs, we will be able to tell if that buck or that doe will actually be able to better our herds, or will that animal not do what we need. It's pretty complicated. I'm just trying to give you a easy way to look at why these EPDs and these genomic markers are what we should be going for. Somebody will probably say, Jason, you're wrong with this, this, and this. I'm not saying I'm no expert at this because I definitely ain't. Only thing I know is what I've read, I've listened to from other breeder association, other forums like Penn State. A lot of it is back in the beef industry. There's not much in the goats and the small ruminant. To me, I think Neogen is the way to go. I really think Neogen is gonna change our industry. People say that some of these big breeders have an edge over top of us small breeders. I think with Neogen, the EPDs that will be available, the genomes that they'll be able to look at and tell us what these animals can do, what animals we should be able to be pairing up together to make the best animal for what you're doing. I think that's going to give everybody an edge. I know there's a few big breeders out there that are super good at this. They can go to a show and say, wow, that animal over there would compare up to this animal. If we cross them together, we get something great out of them. To find out what would be best to match up with different animals, we're going to change the industry. If you want to raise meat, you're going to be able to go out there and pick out animals, be able to produce the meat production that you want. To go back on people saying we wasted our money while we were doing the DNA testing on animals that we were doing with UC Davis. We didn't waste our money. The biggest thing is we were trying to solve a problem that was there in the industry when they decided to release this DNA stuff. They had a bunch of people saying that they were not getting the goats that they think they were getting. So we're trying to solve something as an industry. What we were solving was, hey, we're going to start testing all bucks. We can check these prodigies from these bucks to see if they match up. That's all we were getting. Like I said, that's my opinion. With this new technology out there, and actually it's really not a new technology. It's been around for years. They've been doing it in the cattle industry for a long time. I think knowing this information is going to be able to change how we produce animals. For small breeders, I think it's going to even be more important when they're picking bucks to breed to, picking semen to buy, or if you're like me and you like to go down the avenue of buying bred recips and stuff like that to start a herd, which that'll be an upcoming video coming up soon. To go back on talking about the DNA testing and what the ABGA has already released that they will be doing. But we will be able to get more information. We'll be able to get a return on our investment as an industry. When now we have all these animals that were tested, from what I've already gathered from a few people and talking to Neogen, they will be able to go back and say, you have a semen straw that you use for AI. They should be able to go back. They will release exactly how this will need to be done. Either it has to be a half a straw or they'll be able to use the plugs or whatever. They should be able to go back and DNA test that semen straw through either the plug or semen. I understand people are concerned that there will be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 straws out there on animals that are deceased. We won't be able to DNA and we won't be able to cross them back. But ABGA has actually already released that their plans, which they can change, they're planning on grandfathering in all animals previous tested. So if your animal was already previously tested, they will go off, they were already tested. So if you have offspring to them, we already know that they go back to that animal. Now it's going forward. Everything will be going forward. The biggest thing I see that's coming down that we don't know yet is what the cost is going to be. I know from day one when they release that they're going to be able to do this. I will be the first one on the bandwagon to say, send me my information, send me what I need, and I'm going to be having all our animals here on the farm tested and DNA checked. Because I want to be somebody going forward in the future to say, hey, I started this with the industry trying to change, because if we don't all get on board, we're going to get left behind. And when I say that, I don't mean personally we're going to get left behind. I'm saying as a industry. If some of these other associations that already DNA test out there go over to this type of testing before we do, they're going to be ahead of the game, and they're going to actually be farther along in taking people out of our industry. Let's touch on one other thing. A lot of people don't like that ABGA is classified, or people classify ABGA as a show goat association. As much as ABGA was started to represent Boer goats and the meat type goat in the industry, they were started and they basically was pushed from the start as show animals. That's what people did with them. There's a lot of other goat associations out there that show animals. They don't do it to the caliber we do. But with these new DNA stuff, I think you're going to be able to cross up some animals that you're like, I don't know if that'll work. And you're going to be able to cross them up and make something special. On top of that, the biggest problem we have in this industry when it comes to genetics and stuff like that, we go out here and we look at an animal out in the field, in a barn, at a sale, at somebody's house, however you choose your animals. And if you're looking for a show quality animal to go in the show ring, I think with this new DNA testing system and using these markers to find out, you might be able to take 2 or 3 animals on your farm that you thought would never match up and end up matching them up and make a great animal. Thank you guys for coming along. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And as always, be the goat, and see you on the next video.